Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well, and welcome back to another thrifty video. If you guys don't know me, I am a full-time clothing reseller. I resell on places like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, whatnot, all of the above. But I also make YouTube videos about my journey along the way. I like to help you guys to also be able to resell if that's what you enjoy doing. But I want to also equip you with good knowledge and good resources to be able to do it well. And so today we're doing a brand list video, something that I am pretty well known for here on my channel, where I share with you guys brands that do really well reselling, but also the most helpful piece of this is I will show you what the brand tags look like on screen, so that way when you find them in the wild, you'll know what they look like. This has been born out of me not knowing brand tags, hearing those brands, but then seeing what they actually look like in the wild is very important. So that's why they go up on the screen for you. Today we have a fun concept. I thought about this the other day and I just thought it would be really exciting to go through and pick out my favorite brands to resell, things that I would for sure be picking up in an A to Z kind of format. So here we go. I'm gonna start with A, go to Z, and tell you guys what the best brand is from each letter. I'll also have a few runners-ups or honorable mentions along the way, but on the whole, we're looking at about 26 amazing brands, but then we're gonna have a lot more sprinkled in there as well. So if that sounds good to you guys, make sure to give today's video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. But let's jump into it, shall we? I did a lot of narrowing down to get to this point, and some of them are still, there's more than one that could really be the best, but my criteria for this is, what is the one brand, if it started with the letter A, that I would, without a shadow of a doubt, really want to find if I was out thrifting? Like, I found it, it would make my day. So let's do it. For A, we're looking at, I have two, okay? I have Arc'teryx, which is an amazing, kind of more like active brand, and that's how I kind of justified having two here. I did put something else as number one, so this is more of an honorable mention. Arc'teryx is a great brand, especially for outerwear, things like that. Anything more substantial is going to be able to sell for close to $100, which is amazing. But the one next to it, the one that I picked for the number one spot for A, is Aviator Nation. And Aviator Nation is a brand that I personally have not found before. I have seen other people find it, and it's something that I would love to find, so that's why it's so high up for me. Arc'teryx also I found once before. I would love to find that again. So Aviator Nation is, though, what I have picked for letter A. I think that brand is amazing. It definitely has a more relaxed vibe to it, but even though it may not look very presuming, it is a very expensive resale on it, and usually you're reselling things for at least $75, probably more than $100, but it also depends on what piece you find. But that's letter A. So letter B, I have Blundstones as an honorable mention because I do think that those boots really sell quite well, and it would be something I would be excited about finding. I do feel like they often get marked up, which is part of an issue in the thrifting for me of Blundstones, but they're nice boots usually, and they sell for around $100. But the brand that I would actually rather find is Bed Stew, which I have sold countless Bed Stew items. I've never found them, I think, other than in the bins. I don't know why they end up in the Goodwill outlet for me, but the Bed Stew pieces I have found have always sold for really good money. So Bed Stew makes shoes. I think that's pretty much, is that all they make? If I'm wrong, let me know. But Bed Stew, their shoes, usually really high quality leather pieces, and they resell for good money, like $50 and up. Even for a pair of sandals, I don't think I've sold anything lower than $50, but boots can go for like over $100. So Bed Stew, awesome brand to know. Letter C, I have as my honorable mention Canada Goose, which is an honorable mention. Isn't that crazy? Canada Goose, an exceptionally expensive brand. To find a Canada Goose coat would be my dream. Do I think that's super likely? No. That's why it's the honorable mention. Canada Goose, though, if you find it, it's an amazing brand to resell. Hundreds of dollars for their coats, for their jackets, things like that. But the one I put down as my number one for the letter C, what I think would be the best brand to resell would be Christy Dawn. I really like Christy Dawn. I think that their pieces resell for, $100, sometimes more, but also it feels more attainable to find that than Canada Goose. Christy Dawn makes a lot of beautiful dresses and skirts and tops, things like that, and it really is a great brand to know, and there's a lot of brands similar to it that are going to be on this list because I just feel like that vibe of Christy Dawn pieces is really trendy and on kind of just like style icons right now. But Christy Dawn is then my pick for C, followed by D, which is very similar. My pick is Doen. I think Doen is an amazing brand. Have I ever found it? No, of course not. So that would be something I would be so excited to find, and definitely would be a great reselling brand. And that's why I picked Doen for D. Doen also, though, is similar to Christy Dawn in its kind of styling. And so I love that style. I also put, though, for D, Dale of Norway kind of as a very close second, because I have found Dale of Norway once before, but Dale of Norway has a really great resale as well. If you find a sweater from them, or even, you know, a more substantial piece, you can resell those for, you know, 75, maybe $100, which is not bad at all. And then for E, I put down Eileen Fisher. Now, I know a lot of people have different opinions. I do think for E, Eileen Fisher is a great brand to be picking up. It's great bread and butter. It is very expensive new, but I feel like it's easier to find it than some other E brands. But I would love also your guys' opinions as we go through this. I would love for you to share what you would put for your letters, or if you have something that you would add to my list, let me know. This was very difficult to narrow things down, and so I am well aware that I will probably miss something that I would have changed. I'm aware that there's lots more amazing brands out there, but these are just my personal picks and things that I think other people can learn from. So F has so many. F is a great, there's so many brands that are amazing that start with F. So for my number one pick, I picked Farm Rio. I think Farm Rio is going to be a really well-selling piece years into the future, mostly because it is so unique compared to a lot of other things. It's so bright. It definitely has that more, you know, tropical vibe to it. But some other brands that are really close to being the top tier would be For Love and Lemons. Honestly, For Love and Lemons and Farm Rio, for me, pretty much tied. For Love and Lemons, an amazing brand. And then I also have Freebird by Steven. Would love to find a pair of shoes from Freebird by Steven, a pair of boots, hundreds of dollars, at least 100, I should say. For Love and Lemons, usually probably close to $100, depending on what you can find. And then Farm Rio also is going to be close to 100. So all of those are amazing brands to know. So F has plenty of great things to choose from. G, I picked Gal Meets Glam. I do feel like Gal Meets Glam pieces sell for, you know, right around $75 or so. Gal Meets Glam usually are dresses that I'm looking at, and I do feel like they have a lot of pieces that are really nice. And often I do feel like this brand is also overlooked. So that's a good one to know. So for H, I only have one brand, and I really feel like it is an amazing one that not many people know of. But before we get to H, I do want to take a moment to thank today's video sponsor, which is Vendoo. So Vendoo has worked with me so many times in the past, and you guys have heard of them. And I just think that they are such a great service for us resellers. If you're in this world part-time, full-time, it is so hard to be able to keep track of all of your inventory. It's so hard to cross-list, to have things on multiple different platforms, to have things on eBay and on Poshmark and all over the place. It gets to be a lot very fast. And so for me, I have used Vendoo now for over a year, 2 years at this point, and I cannot go back. I think it's been the single most helpful thing I've done for my business, and it easily allows me to cross-list my pieces to multiple different sites. So now that I have Vendoo, I'm not just posting on Poshmark, I'm also posting on eBay, Whatnot, Depop, Mercari. I started off just as a Poshmark seller. I think the thing that is most helpful for me from them at this point is their automatic sale detection and delist feature, which automatically takes down pieces from my stores if they sell on one of my other sites. So if something sells on Poshmark, it'll automatically be taken down from eBay and Mercari, everywhere I have it listed, which is so helpful. If you guys have been burned by accidentally selling something on more than one site, it can really be detrimental to your business, and it can get you a lot of like flags on eBay. It's really something you have to avoid. So paying the around $20 a month for Vendoo has really saved me so many headaches, but also has given me back the ability to list on multiple sites. And I find that it's worth it just with selling one item that you wouldn't have sold on just your original site. So if I sold one item on eBay each month, I'm paying for my service, which is amazing. So I highly recommend Vendoo. If you use my link in the description box, then you'll get 25% off your first month, which is amazing. And it also helps to support my business. So thank you guys so much. If you're considering Vendoo, definitely follow my link. And I really appreciate you guys being so supportive of me having sponsors on my channel. It's really allowing me to give you guys this free content, because this does take a lot of time and a lot of research to bring you guys the content I do. So thank you guys so much. But let's jump into the rest of the video. H is House of CB. House of CB is a brand. It can be sold at Revolve, but it's definitely more of a, I would say, a more formal or semi-formal, like dresses, more going out kind of outfits. It's definitely more dressy, and that's why it's on this list. A lot of their items will resell for over $75, which is a whole heck of a lot of money to resell, so that's amazing. Then for I picked my number one thing that I would want to find. Well, it's Anikachu. I love Anikachu. I think it's such a great brand. I found and discovered this brand during my research for my obscure brands list video that I also created. And I just think that her gowns, I just think that her style is amazing and I love it. I love all of it. I own a dress now from this brand. I think she's amazing. It's a really unique brand. That brand though, their pieces will resell for over $100. In though, I also have Ibex. That was a really close call for me because I do feel like Ibex might be a little bit more attainable, a little easier to find, but still an amazing brand. And also, I would say it sells for a little bit less than Anikachu for sure. But for like $50 for activewear, even just a shirt would be awesome. And then I also had Imogene and Willie in the I category here because Imogene and Willie, their denim sells really well. Again, a little harder to find, but really expensive stuff there. I think they resell for right around $75 is what I would expect. For J, is anyone going to be surprised when I say Jenny Kane? I think Jenny Kane is the epitome of amazing reselling value. I do think a Jenny Kane sweater would be literally my heart's dream to find so I could resell it. It is a gorgeous company. They have amazing kind of quiet luxury, really well-made pieces. Quince is kind of, I would say, like a dupe of Jenny Kane in some ways, and Jenny Kane just is everything. So I would love to find Jenny Kane to resell. K was actually incredibly difficult. There's not that many K brands, but I narrowed it down to, I would say Kate Spade is my number one K brand. Mostly I'm talking about bags from this brand. I've recently, I think last month, I sold 2 different Kate Spade purses, each one for over $100. So some pieces can do really well. Things that are newer will definitely do really well. Bags in general. Some of the clothing can do, I would say coats do well. A lot of the more lightweight pieces won't do great, but Kate Spade is my number one, and Cool is an honorable mention, Kuhl. Cool is a great brand. Also to resell, more kind of like active wear. I've sold quite a few jackets and coats and pants from them, all for, $40, $50 plus. Love that. My number one 4L is Love Shack Fancy. Love Shack Fancy is definitely another one of those brands that's sort of similar to, I would say, for Love and Lemons in style. It's definitely more flirty, girly pieces, really cute stuff there. So Love Shack Fancy, definite pickup if I were to ever find it in good condition. Love Shack Fancy is coming home with me. I've sold Love Shack Fancy for over $100 before. And depending on what you find, especially if it's a dress, especially if it's a long dress, you're definitely looking at around $100 at least. Then we're moving on to M. So let's do some honorable mentions first. We have Mac DeGaulle, an amazing brand. If I were to find it, I would for sure pick it up. And Mother, I also would love to keep finding. Mother jeans do really well. I've also sold some Mother activewear, all really good money there, like at least $50. But my number one for M is Magnolia Pearl. And that is, I've never found Magnolia Pearl. It's a lag and look brand. I do feel like that style is really popular right now and it will remain popular far into the future. But also I feel like these pieces are rare enough that I will continue to want to find them. They will not lose their value. So Magnolia Pearl too resells for hundreds of dollars. Any piece, even if it doesn't look very assuming at all, I would say Magnolia Pearl is amazing and I would love to keep finding it. And I don't know why, but something about saying Magnolia Pearl reminds me of Johnny Was, which I didn't put on my list. It definitely would be an honorable mention for Jay. I think Jenny Kane still is better than Johnny Was. But I wanted to add that in here real quick because I don't know. Me trying to think of every brand in the world is, not going to make a perfect list. So N is Neely Lotan, which I've talked about quite a few times on my channel. But again, not one I've ever found, but one I will for sure be keeping on my radar because I would love to find this brand. Really nice pieces, very expensive up front. We're looking at the resale value being probably $75 and above. So that's a great place to be landing at for a reselling brand. I put my number one as Off-White. And I do feel like this one is sort of attainable. I have found Off-White before to resell. I have seen Off-White in my local buy-sell trade stores. Off-White, I've sold a pair of jeans from them once for $200 that I found in the Goodwill outlet. So it can happen. I would love to keep finding it. Don't know if it's the most realistic, but I also have as an honorable mention On Running. So On shoes, they have the little clouds on the bottom and they do resell for $50, $75, right around there, depending on what style you find. Love Ons. Now, P, my honorable mention is Patagonia. I do feel like Patagonia, I'm excited to find it every time. Am I excited every time it sells? Not as much. I feel like it's definitely lost some value. There are some prints that are definitely worth a lot of good money, but I don't think it's my number one, that's for sure. My number one for P would be Perfect Moment. I really would love to find this brand. It's another brand that's sold on Revolve, but Perfect Moment is really nice outerwear. Like, think ski, and also like even like hats from them will go for so much money. So Perfect Moment is a great brand to be on the lookout for. Q, the only brand I could think of, the only one worth selling was, to me, Queen of Sparkles. That has to be up there. It has a very unique tag. I think it's a Queen of Diamonds as the tag. You'll see it on the screen. But it's a very unique tag, but it's also a very kind of fun, boisterous, a little kitschy, but in a cute way, kind of a brand which I love. And Queen of Sparkles, it's a Q, so it's on the list. So now for R, an honorable mention would be Rhone. I think this brand is really nice. It's a menswear brand that does really well resale wise. I would say around 50 bucks. But my R that I would hands down want to be finding all the time if I could would be Reformation. I think Reformation does super well and will continue to for a while. Even going, I've seen people film themselves going to Reformation sample sales, and the prices of Reformation is just so high. They're just so expensive for no matter what you pick up. I really feel like Reformation pieces will keep on having value for years to come. So love R's, awesome. Then on to S, I have, S is a common letter. We had a lot of options for S. Soya and Kyo is a brand I've recently discovered, and they're sold at Revolve, which is awesome. Anything sold at Revolve I usually will at least look at. Soya and Kyo has really nice outerwear pieces. I would love to find them, probably like $100 at least for a jacket from them. Show Me Your Mumu, a little bit lower on the podium. I would say Show Me Your Mumu is, a bronze medal here, but I would also still be excited to find it. So, and then it actually reminds me a little bit of the one I picked as my top tier for S, and that would be Spell. It used to be known as Spell and the Gypsy. They've changed their name now to be more just Spell, I believe. And so Spell, I do feel like, is just such a good brand, and I have sold so many pieces from Spell that I have found. I haven't found it a lot, but every time I find it, it sells for over $50. I think the last piece I found sold for $75. Amazing brand and really great one to know, and definitely want to keep your eye out for that logo and that tag. On T, my two pieces I picked out for this one, I would say they're pretty much tied. They're both so good. I don't know if I can narrow it down. Let me know which one you think is better. We have Tuckernuck, which is almost like a Revolve in that they sell lots of other brands, but they also have things that are straight Tuckernuck branded. This is almost like me saying Revolve isn't the best one for R, and that would also be probably true. But Tuckernuck, even the brand itself, just sells so well. It will sell for $50, $75 and up, depending on what kind of piece you find. But also anything sold at Tuckernuck would also do really well. And then another brand that is one that I personally love is The Great. And I don't know if it's a cop-out having the T be the, but you know what? That's just the whole brand, so we'll go with it. The Great is another really amazing brand. It is similar to Doan, Christy Dawn, that kind of a vibe. I love The Great's pieces. I love having some, uniqueness to pieces and also some girliness. It's really fun. And so The Great also can resell for, $100. Very good brand to know. U is Ola Johnson. That is the brand that I think I would love to be finding. If I could find that every day to resell it, that would be amazing. That's a great brand. It definitely needs to be up at the top tier. Ola Johnson, and those pieces, depending on what you find, can resell for, $100, which is amazing. Then for V, we have Veronica Beard. Those, Ola Johnson, Veronica Beard, I don't have any runners up for them. They are just on their own here. Veronica Beard, if you find, I think it's called the Dickie Blazer. Any piece from Veronica Beard in general can resell for good money. I just sold a piece the other day. It's just a top for $50. It's a great brand to know. Veronica Beard, if you haven't already heard of it, has an amazing line of basically high quality, just everything. Super amazing brand. For W, I said 3 different pieces here. We have runners up, Waters and Waters, which would be like bridesmaid dresses, really nice pieces for usually like formal attire, and you're looking at $75 and up. And then Weekend Stories is another Revolve brand that I really like, and I think I would be very happy to resell that consistently. And then for my top one, I put Wild Fang. I found a Wild Fang piece not too long ago and resold it within a few days for $50 or $65. And so Wild Fang for me would be number one for W. Now we get into some hard ones, XYZ. This was not an easy feat, let me tell you, and you might disagree. But for X, my top brand I picked was X by NBD, which is another Revolve brand, but it is a more like a formal wear brand. NBD, I really like selling that brand, and they make more like semi-formal dresses, formal dresses, things like that. But X by NBD, I think, is their even more expensive line for NBD. It was really hard to find an X. So if you guys have an X, let me know. Y, also a little difficult to find, but I came up with Yumi Kim, which is another more formal wear attire brand, also from Revolve. Yumi Kim, I was looking, and a lot of pieces were retailing for $200. So I would say resale has to be at least $65 and up. And then Z, the last brand for this video is, what do you guys think? It is Zimmermann. I would die to find Zimmermann every day to resell. Zimmermann is really expensive, and they are an amazing brand that retails for hundreds of dollars, and the resale is also usually at least $100 as well, depending on what you can find. They also have swimwear too. A great brand across the board, one I'd be happy to find any category of clothing in. And that, my friends, is A to Z, the best brands to resell online. And I hope this was helpful to you. I know for sure, I'm sure I missed some brands throughout this. There are so many brands in the world, guys, but trying to narrow it down was a real feat of mine. I definitely spent some time trying to figure out the best ones to share with you guys. And if you guys have anything to add to this list, let me know in the comments down below. But I also want to remind you guys that you sharing knowledge and helping others to succeed does not take away from your success. There is enough to go around. There's so much extra to go around. We have a huge problem with waste, and there's always things being donated. There's gonna be so many more donations donated today that we can even process, and then things end up in the Goodwill outlet, and then things end up in the landfills or shipped to other countries, and that can ruin other people's ability to produce clothing in those countries. There's a lot going on, but you sharing a brand that has sold well for you, that does not inherently make it so that you lose. It helps other people to also win, other people to also succeed. And so I know I want to be a part of helping others succeed, and I hope you do too. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you again to Vendu for working with me on today's video. And if you guys are thinking about trying to upgrade your business, trying to, expand into some other places to resell, this is definitely the time to do it. And if you follow my link, you'll get 25% off your first month. So if you are considering that, definitely use my link. If you guys have liked this or any of my other brand videos, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And until the next video, bye.